This is Ready Set Reiki, a podcast about Reiki, the universal energy life force, from the curious beginner to the seasoned master teacher, welcoming all systems, all lineages, and all levels. Reiki is a journey and not a destination. And on this Ready Set Reiki journey, I refer to myself as a guide rather than host, that I too am traveling, learning, and supporting others on this Reiki journey as well. And with that said, I am your guide, Tracy C. Wright. Today, joining me is Jess Lloyd. She is a Reiki master and intuitive coach, and she is here to support you on your journey to healing, growth, and self-discovery. Her mission is to help others heal, grow, and find their highest selves. She is passionate about creating a safe, respectful, and supportive environment where each person can explore their path without judgment. She built her practice to provide professional, flexible, personalized guidance, allowing each session to meet the unique needs of the moment. No two sessions are alike, and her multi-passionate mind truly enjoys tailoring every session to meet you exactly where you are. Her journey to healing and intuition, her healing journey has taught her resilience and empathy, living with a chronic illness, supporting children with their health challenges, and navigating a crisis of faith led her to Reiki. Profound healing and energy work, which ultimately put her Crohn's disease into remission and eased symptoms of fibromyalgia, depression, anxiety, diabetes. Early on, she discovered her psychic and intuitive abilities, which are now an integral part of her practice. She connects with her spirit teams, both yours and hers, and often receives messages from ancestors, especially during ancestral healing work. Through intuitive insight, she will help guide you on your path, giving each session a deeply personal touch that aligns to your unique energy. Jess, welcome to Ready, Set, Reiki.
Thank you, Tracy. I'm excited to be here.
All right. Well,
It's
wonderful.
a pleasure.
Wonderful. So let's begin our journey together. So tell the listeners a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a grandma. I have two really fun, really hard grandkids. They are 16 months apart. One is 7 and the other is 5. And I get to spend a lot of time with them because my daughter, their mom, is autistic and their dad is undiagnosed, probably autistic, and they struggle a lot. So they live really close, and I get to spend a lot of time with them. So I love having my own business that I get to work around being grandma and playing with my grandkids. I have been married to my best friend for 24 years. We have 3 kids. My oldest, who has 2 kids. My middle child is on the LGBTQ spectrum and is in a marriage of a throuple. So we have there's two trans and 1 intersex in that relationship. So we're very LGBTQIA affirmative and open to working with that. And I have left the LDS religion, and that was the faith transition that Tracy mentioned. And as I left that, I felt like I lost myself. I had lived very devout. It was my whole life. It was my personality. And when I left, I didn't know who I was anymore.
Yeah.
And about a month after I realized that I didn't believe anymore, I found Reiki.
Oh, beautiful.
And that gave me grounding and a safe space to rediscover me. And in 2008, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. I was very, very sick. Spent months in bed, had time in the hospital, and my doctor told me I was a special case.
Oh.
And in 2018, I found my first coach, and she helped me to learn how to manage it better. And she taught me to start listening to my intuition. And that really began part of my faith crisis.
Yes.
Was listening to my intuition and learning about medical things that my high demand religion were saying were bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wait a minute. Green tea is really good for you. But the LDS church says don't drink tea. Why?
Mm.
Why? And things like that just kind of all fell into place to lead me down the rabbit hole of research. And anyway, so when I started doing Reiki and healing my body, I had my colonoscopy scheduled, and I went in and my doctor did the work. And this, I'd already quit taking the medication. The medication was crazy, had horrible side effects. So I quit taking the medication, and he says to me, if I didn't know you, because we'd been working together for 10 plus years by this point, I wouldn't know you had Crohn's disease. There is no evidence of Crohn's disease in your colon. So I've been off Crohn's medication for more than 5 years. I was still suffering with some of the symptoms, but it's super manageable. It's in remission. One of the side effects of the medication I was on was that it gave me fibromyalgia type symptoms. And I haven't been able to get those completely to go into remission, but the Reiki does help manage the symptoms. So I'm able to function so much better than I was when it was all so high. And one of the things that I learned as I'm going through this journey of learning how to heal and how to heal me, how to heal others, was I learned about how the emotions that we stuff in our bodies cause havoc. So, a little bit of my history is I married a man who was bipolar, and we had a daughter who wasn't diagnosed till that she was autistic until she was in her late teens. We had another kid, and then we got divorced. And so I did the single mom thing for a little bit with a very, very hard child. She didn't sleep. She was always angry. She was violent. She was always into stuff, very hyperactive. And she was hard at school. She was hard at home. As she got older, she started to hold it together while she was at school. But then she'd come home and I was her safe place and she would explode all over me. Yeah. And as a member of this church, I was taught that negative emotions are from the devil. And so we stuffed them. Those are not okay. I can't feel those feelings. And those feelings, I'm very sure, are the reason why I developed so many illnesses, is because I had all of this crap building up in my body.
Right.
And I didn't know how to process my emotions. I didn't know how to deal with my emotions. I also have this family line going back centuries that have done the same crap. My family goes back to the Mormon pioneers. So they traveled from Europe to Salt Lake City. And so it's been ingrained in my ancestors to also do this. So I've inherited their crap because they didn't heal it. And I feel like I am the person who is supposed to heal the family line. So I've done a lot of work on myself. I've done work on my sister. I've done work on my kids, on my grandkids, and I've learned how to manage my emotions so much better. I mean, they still come up and they still have a hard time every now and then. Like yesterday, my grandson was super triggering me, and I'm like, but I now have tools. I was able to, okay, take a deep breath, massage my vagus nerve, settle things down. So Those are things that I teach in my Reiki sessions. I know some Reiki practitioners do just Reiki.
Mm-hmm.
They just do the Reiki on all the Reiki positions, which if you're not familiar with that, it's like all of the chakras plus different places on your body. And it just basically makes sure you get Reiki all over your body.
Mm-hmm.
It helps the practitioner stay in, because you really don't need to do all of that because Reiki goes where it needs to go. But it helps the practitioner stay, focused and those kind of things. So I trust the Reiki is going to go where it needs to go. So I start the Reiki at the beginning of the session, and then we talk about, and I use my intuition and my psychic abilities to figure out what it is that each client needs. And we follow spirit and what the client wants in each of my sessions. So if the client doesn't know what they want to talk about, they don't know what's bothering them, they just know they're bothered, then we'll tap into my intuition. And I'll one of the things that we wanted to share in this was how intuition can be developed and how we can use Reiki to develop our intuition. So one of the things I teach my clients is that you have to learn to trust yourself. And that can be really hard if you've never trusted yourself. If you've been told you're not trustworthy, if you've been told that your thoughts are not safe. So we work through those issues, and then we work on little baby steps on how to start trusting your intuition. So an assignment that I can give to a client will be like, okay, I want you to just trust yourself and ask yourself, which shirt should I wear? Mm. And it's a simple question. And the consequences of which shirt you wear are not huge. I mean, there's consequences. Like if you're wanting to be in an up mood, you wear like a bright color. If you want to be mellow and subdued, you wear a darker color. I mean, colors affect you. But I teach to start trusting your intuitions on something small like that, and to ask yourself little questions like that every day. Should I brush my teeth now, or should I take my vitamins and then brush my teeth? And when you get those little teeny hits of intuition, you start to trust yourself. And then you also learn how you hear your intuition. If you feel it, if you hear it, we all have the five basic psychic senses, and intuition is one of those. And it's up here, right in your head, and it's a knowing. But you can also feel it with your fingers, with your touch. You can hear it with your ears. And sometimes you hear it with your ears inside your head or outside your head. And when you're starting to learn how to do that, it can also be a little scary because you're like, dude, am I hearing things? Am I developing some psychological problem? No. You're hearing your intuition. You can see it with your eyes. You can taste it, touch it, smell it, all of them, just like your regular five senses. So for me, one of the really, really interesting things for me was when I had started doing Reiki. So I started in November learning, and by February, I was offering sessions for free to just kind of get the feel for it. And I was doing a session for a client, and I was smelling bread, like baking bread. And I was in my kitchen, in my dining room, next to my kitchen, and no one was home. And I'm like, why am I smelling baking bread? And so I asked her, I said, we're doing ancestral work at the time. And I said, did your grandma make really good bread? And she's like, no, but she made really good tortillas. And I was like, huh. And I just kind of let it roll around in my head and just thought about it for a while. And then I had another session with another client doing ancestral work, and I had another smell come to me. And that smell tied to the ancestor. And after that, I started asking, is this ancestor here? And the smells quit coming. But I get tingling sensations in my legs, And sometimes I will hear them give me messages. I will feel them give me messages. I feel a lot more than I hear. And sometimes I will see images. And it's funny because most of the images I see are cartoons. Not necessarily
Yeah.
cartoons that were real, but
Yes.
like I'll see an old man in overalls and it's very cartoonish in my brain.
Mm.
But I'll talk to him and say, okay, I'm seeing your great great grandfather and he's doing this, like I'll see him do happy dances. And so you can develop your intuition, your psychic abilities as you heal using Reiki, because Reiki is such a good way to help heal yourself spiritually, emotionally, physically, and mentally. And it goes so well with everything else you're doing.
Yeah,
You
and you
can use it.
shared earlier about when you started. So when did the Reiki come into your life? Did you find that Reiki found you or you found Reiki?
Okay, so in October of 2019, I went on a retreat and it was called Awaken the Healer Within. And it was being done by my coach that I mentioned before.
Mhm.
And at the time, she was calling herself a chronic wellness coach.
Mm.
But she had shifted to using energy healing to help heal bodies and to do more to tap into her psychic abilities. But I hadn't really caught that that's what she was doing
Mm.
at her retreat. I had paid to go there like months before. And as I get there, it's like all these energy healers she's brought in to talk to us and to do work with us. And we did like sound healing, and she had one gal come talk to us about ancestral healing, and she was a Reiki master. So that was my first real introduction to it, but I hadn't experienced it. So then Thanksgiving weekend, I'm in the middle of my faith crisis. My faith crisis really happened right after that retreat. I went to that retreat and I came home thinking, wow, that was more spiritual than anything I've ever experienced in the temple, at church, anything. And so I did some research and discovered there's shamanism in the history of Mormonism,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
and then saw some other things that tied into that history that made me go, wait a minute. And then I learned there's a whole bunch of gaslighting in Mormonism. Anyway, so I'm in the middle of my faith crisis and like depression and confusion. And I'm Black Friday. I'm just scrolling through advertisements, and there's an advertisement for a Reiki course. And I was like, that's it. It's what I need. And so I signed up for that Reiki course, and I hyper focused on it. I had my Reiki master by January. So I've been doing Reiki for almost 5 years now.
Yeah.
And I just love it. I love how it's helped me. I love how it helps my clients. I love how it's helped my children. So I'm going to share this about my daughter. As I have worked on me, I've shared things with her and I've worked on her occasionally, but I'll tell you, it's kind of hard to work on your family,
Mm.
for me anyway.
Yes.
And part of that is because when I was their mom, I mean, my kids are all adults now, but when I was their mom, when they were little, I didn't know better.
Mm.
And so
Yeah.
I was not a good mom. And as I work on healing them, their childhood trauma comes up, and then I feel like crap.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
so then I have to work on me, and I don't like it. I mean, I like working on me, but it's really hard oh, sorry. That was my alarm for when we were going to do this later. Let me make sure I've turned it off all the way. Yeah, we're good. Okay. Where was I? Oh, okay. So what's been really cool is I've seen my daughter grow. I have seen her start to realize, oh, what I do here, this is a problem. And I used to call her my alphabet soup kid. She was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, ADHD, oppositional defiant disorder, um, pretty much anything that is under the mental health spectrum except for borderline personality disorder and I lost the name of the other one. Anyway, so like everything. And then she also got Crohn's disease when she was in junior high. So she's had it hard. But I'm seeing her make so much improvement. So I'm seeing how healing me helps heal those around me.
Yes.
And it's one of the benefits that I don't know that everybody talks about, but when you heal you, those around you heal.
Yeah.
And another thing that I've also learned is that as you heal one part of you, other parts of you start to heal.
Yeah.
So it's got this cascading effect that's really cool.
Yeah, when you heal, you're in service, and when you're in service, you heal.
Yes. Yes.
So what system of Reiki did you study?
Usui.
Usui.
Mm-hmm.
So as you've been out, you said 5 years, correct? That you've been working with the energy. What do you find is a common misconception about Reiki?
Okay, well, being that I still live in the middle of Mormonville here, it's witchcraft. It's kind of interesting because there's a divide amongst the Mormons. Some of them are very into it, and some of them are very against it. So when my sister-in-law found out I was doing Reiki, she thought it was the Reiki that led me out of the church.
Yeah.
And that was a big misconception. And another one of my former sister-in-laws was like, she's worshiping the devil. And it's not. Reiki is not religious. Reiki is not devil worship. Reiki is energy. It's just energy. It's science. It's the energy particles that are floating around. I mean, everything is energy. They've discovered when they use a small enough a microscope that's strong enough to see small enough that the things that we claimed were matter are actually energy at their smaller parts. And energy can interact with energy, and energy doesn't have bounds, and energy doesn't go away. And so Reiki is just a way of asking the energy to perform healing. I've heard it explained that it's like an antenna is the Reiki practitioner, and all the airwaves that your radio would receive go through the antenna, which is the Reiki practitioner, and then the Reiki practitioner sends it to the radio, which is you. And it's not that I am bossing the Reiki around. It's not that it's just I've had these attunements done that make me more sensitive to the energy so that I can ask it to please help this person or this group of people or myself. And one of the things I absolutely love about using Reiki versus some of the other energy healing techniques is that Reiki uses this energy that's out here rather than this energy that's in here. And Reiki, when it goes through me to get to you, it heals me at the same time. Mm-hmm. And so I love that it's a service for you, but I benefit from it.
Very good. So as you've been out helping others and helping them through their struggles, and you touched on this a little bit in your beginning, what was the biggest challenge or struggle you have faced in your own healing journey?
My biggest challenge was that nobody said healing hurts. that it can be really hard and that you really need somebody to help you.
Yeah.
You need someone to be, whether that's your spouse, if they're capable, or a coach, or a therapist, or an energy healer. You need somebody to help you through those really hard times, because energy healing hurts. You have to feel those emotions. You have to feel them to get them to go away. And one of the beautiful things about Reiki is that when you feel those emotions with Reiki, they're not as hard. Because I've done Reiki and I've done therapy. And there's a really big difference. Therapy, you just dig in and you find the trauma and you talk about it. But if you add Reiki to it, it softens the trauma. And you don't actually have to do as much digging. You can just go, okay, where do you feel it? Let's release it. And give it to universe. Give it to Mother Earth. Give it to what God, if you believe in God, whatever works for you. And it simplifies the healing process.
Beautiful. So when it's time for you to get an energetic tune-up, what are some qualities that you look for in a Reiki practitioner?
Okay, I look for one that's not religious.
Oh.
I look for someone whose energy I resonate with. I look for someone who charges enough that I know she's not just giving it away, but isn't charging so much that it feels like she's in it to make money. Because that is one of the issues I had when I was learning about Reiki. Madame Takata brought Reiki to the United States, and she made it elite. She made it very expensive. And I do not believe it should be expensive. I do not believe it is for the elite. I believe it is for the masses. And I also will intuitively check in and make sure that my pricing is correct for each client. So that they get the best out of what they get. So I look for someone who's intuitive. I look for someone who is honest and someone who is not judgmental.
Good. So what advice would you give someone who's just entering spiritual work?
Oh my goodness. Embrace it. Find a guide. Read. Oh my goodness. Read.
Yeah.
And read broad. And as you find the things that are interesting, then go deep. I would recommend that you try out an energy healer. At least give them one session and make sure that you fit.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to fit with everybody. I know I don't fit with everybody as a healer. I don't want to work with everybody. Not everybody's energy aligns with my energy. Find someone whose vibration matches where you want to go. So Spirit just told me that you need to drop judgment. When you're heading out into your spiritual journey, drop judgment.
Yeah.
I was taught in Mormonism that we don't judge people. Judge not that you be not judged. That's the scripture, right? But then they turned around and they taught us to judge. And so as I've been going through my journey, letting go of judgment has been huge. And it's been really hard because it's been ingrained in me since I was a child. But as you embrace spirituality, let go of judgment, and pick the bits and pieces that fit for you. I've heard that religion is spirituality through someone else's eyes.
Yes.
And you want to have spirituality be yours. You want to pick what fits for you. You don't have to match the beliefs of your parents, of your teachers, of your boss, of your coworkers and your neighbors. You need to find your own beliefs.
Yeah.
And use that intuition and check in and say, okay, is this what's right for me?
Right.
Because
Right.
everyone's spiritual journey should look different.
Different. Yeah. Yeah. I was raised Episcopalian, and in my household, it would be colored in the idea of Christian.
Mm-hmm.
But going to church, that's when some of the judgment was happening, when
Mm-hmm.
they would, people in the church and even my own family would make criticisms about how someone dressed, where they were
Yes.
sitting in the church, right?
Yes.
You know, and we had to look a certain way,
Yes.
I had to wear a dress. I had to wear pantyhose. I had to get
Mm-hmm.
dressed up. My mother would put my hair in curlers at night
Mm-hmm.
because we had to look a certain way coming through the door of the church.
Yep.
And if someone, my goodness, was sitting in the pew that my grandparents traditionally sat at, who is that person? Did they not know?
Yeah, they not know that's our
And it
seat.
was almost like, and my family are good people, but it almost was like, okay, well, we went to church on Sundays, so that's a pass to, be a certain way during the week, and then we'll reset on Sunday. So there's a little bit of that, I think,
Mm-hmm.
throughout different religions.
Yeah,
I was a teenager. I went to a Methodist church, and then as I raised my children, we were at a Baptist church. So a little
right,
bit of it, you find it. I mean,
right, and
human beings.
that judgment kind of comes in all of the churches. I mean, how many churches say we're the one true church?
Oh yeah, and then make you feel bad for not tithing. You need to,
Yeah,
how dare you go on a vacation? We need money for the church. So
yeah, yeah. That was actually one of the really big breakers for me. Was
yeah.
about the time I left the church. There was a whistleblower who showed where our tithing money was going,
Oh
and it
yeah,
was
it's
being
crazy.
invested, and the church had billions of dollars. And I'm
Oh
like, are
yeah,
you kidding me? I was a
yeah,
Cub Scout leader, and I was forking out money out of my pocket to pay
yeah.
for Cub Scout activities
Sure,
because there
sure.
wasn't enough in the church budget.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. I mean, you go into some churches and it's like going to a rock concert, these beautiful bathrooms and beautiful rooms and technical things or audio, I mean,
Yeah,
sound systems, you name it. Yeah. So,
yeah.
what books do you recommend?
Oh, okay. So one of the best books I ever read was called My Year with Eleanor. And moment, I can't remember the author, but My Year with Eleanor is a novel and a memoir, kind of a history novel. Okay, so the author goes through, and every other chapter she talks about things she's doing in her life. But it begins with she reads a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt that says, "Every day do something that scares you."
Mm,
And so she takes it on herself to do a year where every day she does something that scares her. And and then every other chapter is about Eleanor Roosevelt's life. And it's just so well written. And it was like the first thing that ever pushed me outside of my little box. I read it while I was still in the church. It took several more years before I left, but it helped me to quit living small, to start living big, to start embracing more. And then I would recommend anything by Jen Sincero. She's the author of You're a Badass, and then there's whatever after in the titles. Her books are amazing. If you want to get into Reiki, I would just say go to the library and pick up a book on Reiki, and then find a Reiki master to work under. Um, yeah, those are my biggest. But I am a reader. I'm a voracious reader. Like I have read over 50 books this year already.
wow.
So I highly recommend reading. And like I said earlier, read broad and then read deep.
Very good. So, what services do you offer? Do you classes, events, trainings?
I do one-on-ones, and I also do classes and live classes and recorded classes. I am in the process of getting those recorded classes up on my website. I'm going to be building a library of classes. Um, but I absolutely love my one-on-ones. I love how every session is different and I never know what's going to happen. I am in the process of being diagnosed with ADHD, and it's all starting to make sense. Why every other job I've ever tried has bored the crap out of me, and I love
Yeah.
this. I absolutely love this because there's variety, there's change. I get to work with new people. But I love my one-on-ones. I love being able to help people. And I love the ancestral healing. I love when we tap in and those ancestors show up and we get to hear from them and get advice and get love. It's awesome. So my one-on-ones, and I also have a Facebook group. I was hacked and I lost my Facebook group, so I'm
Yeah.
rebuilding and it's really small right now. But in it, I teach about how to use crystals, about your chakras, about Reiki, about pretty much anything energy healing and anything in the witchy realm. And when I say witchy, it's about manifestation. It's about using the moon cycles. It's not about, cursing people.
Okay. Well, where can we find you? Do you have a website? You
Yes.
mentioned your Facebook page. How can we
So
get in contact with you?
my website is jessloyd.com. Super simple. And on my website, you can sign up for my weekly newsletter. And I wish I had a simple link for my Facebook group right now, but I don't. It will be on my website. But Facebook says you have to have so much something or other. I don't remember what it is before you
Sure.
can put a name on and make your link easy.
Yeah.
So my link is crazy. But if you want to go look for me on Facebook, I am just Jessica Lloyd on Facebook. But there's lots of them. So you'll have to try and match the face.
Punch the match. Very good.
So I know it's a little harder to find. I'm also
Okay.
on Instagram. That is Jess Lloyd Pics, PICS.com. I started that way back when I was doing photography, and I just have never changed it. I figure pics fits. I mean, we're sharing
Sure.
pics on Instagram, right? And I'm also on TikTok, Jessica Lloyd. And I am on Pinterest, and that one is Jess Low, JESLLO. So it's the first three letters of my name, my first and last name.
Perfect.
So those are
Okay.
places you can find me.
Wonderful. Well, that ends the first part of our journey. I'm going to continue as your guide to the second part, which are questions sent in by Reiki students and listeners. So here we go. Number one, you had mentioned this a little bit earlier as well. What techniques do you recommend to help improve an intuition?
Yeah, I talked about that a little bit. You need to learn how to trust and love yourself. Um, so this was kind of cool. I just recently read this. Self-love is accepting yourself authentically, your authentic self. And that to me, when I started to accept who my authentic self was, that was when things started opening up and blossoming. So that's definitely a tip. And then just start baby stepping it. Do little things to help tap into your intuition. You can also use like some physical things to help you tap into your intuition. You can do muscle testing. You can use a pendulum. Um, Kinesiology, that's kind of into the muscle testing. Um, you can use tarot cards. You can tap in with oracle cards. Um, so as you're learning to trust yourself, you can use these other things to help you. They're I want to kind of call them a crutch, but I don't want you to take that negatively because
Mm.
sometimes you need a crutch to help support you on your
Mhm.
journey.
Yeah.
And then when you no longer need it, you can put it down. And
Yeah.
then if you go through a period where you're like self-doubt creeps in, you pick
Mhm.
up the crutch again. It's
Yeah.
not a big deal. I
Yeah.
mean, I started with pendulums, and I have like a whole collection of pendulums over here that you
Yeah.
can't see.
Yeah.
So there's
So like intuition training wheels.
yes, intuition training wheels.
There you go,
I love
intuition
it.
training wheels. So number 2, is there a particular archangel that you work with during your sessions?
There's not any one particular archangel. In Mormonism, there are angels, but there are not archangels.
Mm.
And so at first, that was a stumbling block for me to working with the angels.
Yeah.
But what I've found is that I like to just be open. And when I start a session, I will ask my spirit team to come and help. And I will ask the client for permission to use their spirit team to come and help. And when I talk about a spirit team, I'm talking about your spirit guide, your guardian angel, any angels that are there to help, any deities, any ancestors, any ascended masters, anybody who's on the other side, who's not in this current realm with us, who wants to come help for your best and highest good, to come to your sessions.
Very good. So number 3, this is from one of our listeners. I'm currently dealing with Crohn's disease. As someone who was able to put their Crohn's disease in remission, what advice do you have to share for those who are currently facing challenges as we navigate through this disease?
Okay. So work with a healer. Work with a healer. Work with your gastroenterologist. And use your intuition as you're working with your gastroenterologist. And do research for other things that can help you. Like there's now medical research that's starting to come out that shows that marijuana can help with Crohn's disease. If you're comfortable with it, if your intuition says go that route, go that route. But if your intuition is like Remicade is going to cause me problems, Remicade is one of the big heavy drugs that they give infusions for. Don't talk to your doctor and say, you know what, I'm not comfortable with this. One of the medications my doctor wanted to put me on had a possible brain side effect. And I was like, hell no.
Yeah.
I'm not going that route.
Yeah.
Another thing that you can do is that you can do affirmations. One of the ones that I use still on a regular basis is my body knows how to heal itself. My body works perfectly. My immune system is healthy. And then I can do a visualization where I see these little workers that are my cells inside my body that are just working, and they're just helping everything run the right way. And they know exactly what they're supposed to do to make everything just flow in my body.
When you were saying that, I was getting a little visual. Do you remember that show, Fraggle Rock?
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, imagine the little Fraggles in your body doing their little work.
The little construction
exactly
people
what they look like in my brain, little cartoon versions of the Fraggle Rocks. Yeah. And then diet. So when you're really having a massive Crohn's flare, you do need to avoid the high fiber foods. But when you are feeling better, I highly recommend that you get on a diet that does include those high fiber foods, and you find ways that you can digest them because they are so good for your body. And take supplements. Use your intuition and figure out which supplements are going to help you and which ones are just going to be a waste of your money, because there are some that just you can't absorb them because there's so much inflammation in your digestive system that it's not worth taking them. Mm-hmm. But experiment with your food, experiment with your diet, and use that intuition. Use it. Is this going to help me or hurt me? And get off processed foods. Processed foods are so bad for us.
Good. All right. Very good advice. Thank you for that. That is our last question. And as we've been talking, is there something that you may have forgotten or something that you want to share with the listeners? You can take the time here. The floor is yours.
Okay. So nothing has come to mind, but I'm going to tap into spirit and see if there's anything spirit wants me to share with the audience. So first thing that Spirit tells me is that they love that you're here, that you're
Mhm.
just here listening to this program, that you're learning, and that you are on your healing journey, you're on your spiritual journey. Spirit is just so excited for you that you're here. And Spirit wants you to know that you don't have to do your healing alone. Oh, oh, okay. This one's a little heavy.
Okay.
It's heavy for me. I don't know if it's gonna be heavy for everybody, but heal your emotional trauma so that you can spend the money that you need to spend so that you are doing that compensation. That's not the word I'm looking for. Do you know which word I'm looking for? So that you're doing the law of reciprocity, so that you are giving to your healer in an equal share amount with her, with your, financially. I know that there are some healers out there who are like, I just give my services away
Yeah.
because it's a spiritual thing, and even those ones, you need to be giving something to them in return. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be money. It can
Hmm.
be a thank you card. It can be a big hug.
Yeah.
But when you're working with a healer, most of us, this is our income, this is our
Oh,
livelihood,
yeah. Yeah.
and we need that money. And you need to be able to give us that so that we can continue to work. But also, as you are giving, that's part of your healing. It's part
Hmm.
of your healing to be able to say, I trust you with my money,
Yes.
that you're going to be able, that I can also trust you with my healing.
Yes. Yeah.
And this one's hard for me because I grew up being taught that money is scarce,
Yes.
and that when we're donating our money, it's to the church, and that we do things ourselves. We're self-sufficient.
Yeah.
And so one of my big struggles is, well, I can just heal myself.
Hmm.
But I have learned I can't do it by myself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I have to hire healers. And it's hard for me to shell out the money to a healer.
Right.
So that's that. I think that was for me as well as for some of you
Yeah,
out
there's
there.
some people that they have no problem buying, a expensive phone, but or go
Right.
get their nails done or go get a massage. But when it comes to things like Reiki, and I do yoga, and especially like the
Right.
yoga, they're always asking for free classes, and it just got to the point I've had to just
Right.
say no.
No.
I had to put something into place that I will only do this if it's for veterans,
Mhm.
or domestic violence or cancer organization, because it was a constant. And it's like,
Right.
I'm taking my time, my energy, and giving an hour of teaching. This is all this work that I paid for trainings. I have multiple
Right.
certifications, and you want me to come for free, and then they don't, they either don't come back, or so
Mhm.
it's like, are you
It's
doing any advertisements? And even like with Reiki too, if someone's in a situation, it's kind of like, well, you need to pay this forward then. Right. I mean, there needs to be some type of exchange.
right.
If you're
There
learning
needs to be
this,
some
then
sort
you
of
need to go
exchange.
out and you need to bless someone else too, who's through things. And I look at it either, if someone who's just divorced and they're a single mom and they need a skill, like to train them, to teach them how to do Reiki so they
Mhm.
can go out and create a business and also help heal themselves as well, and be of service. So yeah, it's so interesting with this because we're kind of conditioned to say, but this is a gift, share with the world. And then we have organizations that ask for $10,000, and then some like, come online, it's for free. So
Right.
it's really
Right.
so
So
open with this.
with that, you can find a Reiki practitioner who's in your budget because
Oh yeah.
they range from here to here in price.
Right, right. And I don't know if you're familiar with the International Center of Reiki, reiki.org. What
Hmm.
it's done is William Rand, he is Holy Fire, Corona,
Hmm.
and he's been doing Reiki since goodness in the 80s. And he has it where everyone's the same price, no matter what, no matter what your level is, no matter what your experience is. And he's humbled himself because he easily could charge a lot, but he's having everyone on the same level because he wants you to choose based on who resonates with you versus I'm going to take him or her because they're $50 cheaper. And so that's what I like about Holy Fire, Corona, the ICRT, Animal Reiki. They have everything. It's the same. You're level 1, level 2, you're master. This is what it is. Pick from all these teachers, and you can be like a professional member, you can be an affiliate, you can be a licensed master teacher through there, and we try to get the same price for it out there. Yeah. But they're out there. I mean,
they're out there. There are people who will do it for really cheap, and people who are going to do it for really expensive. And in some things you get what you pay for.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And if you're paying almost nothing for a Reiki practitioner, you may get a crappy Reiki session or you may get a really good one.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the same as like, when you're buying a car, you get what you pay for when you're buying a car.
Yeah.
So if money is a problem for you, go ahead and try Reiki on a lower budget, but otherwise don't judge your Reiki practitioner by their price.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Judge them
just
by
through their
skill.
experience, it just gets to that point where, this is the time, this is the education time I've put in, I internshipped for a lot, and so there's reasons for that. And then you're looking at the market as well. What is comparable in your area? And you have, you're putting your time in, and you're going back and getting more education and training and things like that. So people forget that.
The economy is suffering right now.
Oh, yes.
And I totally understand that food has gone up so much and everybody is struggling somewhat financially, except for like the top.
Well, you also have to put out there too, and many people will say, I want to do your training, but money's tight right now. And well, you know what? Put it out there. Somehow the money shows up. Trust that the universe is going to take care of you.
Use that manifestation skill.
And also I offer like a payment plan. You can pay as you learn. So let's put a deposit down and let's make a payment. Don't let money be a block for you not to continue that. So that's an option as well for people. So there's ways around it. You can always ask the teacher if they have a payment plan or, something like that. But
don't ask for a discount.
They always like, is this how much, and I listened to somebody, it was kind of interesting because they always ask, can you go any lower? And I heard someone on a show the other day, and he said, when they say that to me, I just respond, well, I can charge more. And then they're okay with your price. Do you know, like, so, all right. Well, thank you so much, Jess, for joining me on this journey. I really appreciate you taking time out of your very busy schedule. So thank you so much. All right. Wonderful listeners. If you would like your question featured on Ready, Set, Reiki, reach out, www.readysetreiki.com. Also, if you're interested in yoga in the El Paso area or online or Reiki trainings or Reiki sessions, reach out to Feather Sister Wellness and reach out. We'll love to have you. So I'm Tracy Seawright, and this has been Ready, Set, Reiki.